watch the years decay. Faces fade, but I remain forever. Is a curse that learns your name.
Every step another memory, another ghost I gotta face. They were laughing in the sunlight, now they dust inside a frame. I don't age, but I remember every single one by name. Time don't heal, it just buries what you feel. Stack graves in my mind like a battlefield real. I was built to endure, but I'm cursed to outlast. Every love I ever had is a shadow in the past. I see the end in every beginning, feel every loss before it begins. Immortal hands still covered in sand. I won't break, even when the world is bleeding. I won't fade, even when my heart stops feeling. I'm still here, watching everything die. Forever's a prison, but I won't say goodbye. Blood seen everywhere, yeah, it stains every vision. Blood for feeding survival, written like a religion. Blood from those slain in the wars I survived. Blood of the innocent lost just to keep me alive. Tell me what you call a hero when he's buried in regret. When the cost of every breath is a day you can't forget. I've been fighting just to keep what the years try to take, but eternity don't bend and it don't ever break. I don't die, I just watch them all fall away. I won't bow to the weight of the years and the pain. And I trade all this time just to feel one day. Hear your voice in the silence before it slips away. Forever means losing you over again. And forever's a war I will never defend. I won't break, even when the world is bleeding. I won't fade, even when my heart stops feeling. I'm still here, cursed to walk like the light. Forever's a prison, but I still chose to fight. Immortal doesn't mean unbroken. It just means you remember everything.
Here we go. Never a dull moment in this place. Lovely Academy City.
All right, and welcome everybody to the stream. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing amazing. Sorry about being super late tonight. I had to do some stuff. But anyways, welcome everybody. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all doing amazing. Hopefully everyone's day has been good.
I'll run away with you by my side.
I'm actually proud of it. A lot more proud of this song than I was originally But welcome everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully everyone is having a great day. I can't watch that one. Woo! 55 stream streak. Let's go, Edge. Let's go, bro. How you doing?
After a week.
Getting things up and going. It's a little loud today, but fine. But how you doing, Edge? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your day has been good.
Change the past I hold inside with all the words I say repeating over in my mind. Some things you can't erase no matter how hard you try. An exit to escape is all there is left to find. Close my eyes.
Alright. Sorry, I'm getting videos up.
There is no time.
So things sound weird. It's because I had to run out and grab stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I need to get back. And start get stream going. And yeah, now we're here. Ooh. So I'm doing a couple things, but how's everyone doing? Hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully everyone is having a great and an amazing day. Okay. All right. Oh, that reminds me.
Close my eyes. Let the whole thing pass me by. There is no time.
He had a video that I want to check out. Where is it? Sup, Pat? How's it going? Touches on Saturday song. Nice. Very nice. Always love hearing that. I'll have to check out some of those. But everything's going well. I'm running a little bit late, so trying to get videos up and ready. There's still a lot I need to grab. There it is. That's the video I was looking for. Okay, so he links the channel, not the... Welcome back, Zach. So I'm just making sure I got everything up. Oh, look at that one. After everything. Is it? I can never tell. I'm also, oh, I wonder if my my audio's down a little bit on my mic. That's always a possibility. I've got it. That where I normally, I'm probably not talking into it enough. Also, hi Jackal. Just saw you put. All right. All right. Yeah. It looks like, yeah, it's just, I think everything is just gonna be loud today. Let me turn me up to about 4.2 and drop this down to about 11. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. How you doing, Jarkle? How you doing, Zach? I know Pat's here, but he's doing some stuff. But how are you two? The duet. Oh. Dude, I'm surprised the duet on this came out so well. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm like, please do it just right. And he got it. I'm like, oh, okay. Too much. Hey, yeah, you gotta stop that. Too much X is bad for the mental. You know, it's definitely bad for the mental. Also, our boy Keen did amazing today. We're so bad to Lady Wasabi. I shouldn't be that way. She's gonna like nuke me from orbit one of these days. What's up, Kura? What? Did he even let you send this first super chat? Oh, today? Earlier today? I won't be surprised. YouTube likes to be YouTube. Oh, but yeah, welcome. All right, everyone. So we've got probably actually 0 AI slop today. Just because I'm like, gotta get some more other reacts out there and everything. So annoying. Yeah, it happens. It does. It's YouTube. YouTube's going to do YouTube things. You know. But Side Scrollers was amazing. I was laughing so hysterically at the entire conversation. King held himself pretty well. You could tell he was a little nervous. Like, oh God, I'm with studying Craig. I'm with Labs. Hey, just keep it cool. Me, I would have been like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. Would have been sitting there like constantly muting my mic and forgetting that I muted it and be like, oh sorry, I was talking to myself this entire fucking time. All right.
Quote, without
Okay, that's good volume there. Okay, but all right, let's get. We're gonna get into some reacting. Got this hour long. This is gonna be like an hour and a half long video. Oh, yeah. This is what we signed up for, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, we're going to check out the Fat Electrician's newest video. Yeah, because yeah, I believe I haven't missed one recently yet. I don't know. I might have. Possibly. There's always a chance. But anyways, we're going to be checking out America's Hercules, Peter the Giant Francisco. So this is going to be actually a little interesting. We haven't actually gotten to do a live Fat Electrician video in a little bit. Granted, like the boys were kind of out last week. You know, Cody did kind of go and get himself married. And being married and wanting to start a family.
Quote, without him, we would have lost two crucial battles, perhaps the war, and with it, our freedom. George Washington. And the fact that you probably have no idea who I'm talking about is a tragedy that we're going to fix right now.
Yes, because I have no clue who this person is. And yeah, don't feel bad, Zach. I was at work, so I just had I had one headphone in and was just watching it while I was working. So, you know, could still take a call.
Today we're talking about
Boss
Peter
gonna get mad at me.
Francisco, aka the Virginia Giant, also known as the Virginian Hercules or the Giant of the American Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, I've wanted to make this video for years and I've worked on and off on it for years, but the problem is everything about this man online reads like an urban legend or a myth, and I don't make videos on urban legends, I make videos on things that actually happened. The urban legend is essentially this: a 5-year-old boy washes up on the shore of Virginia.
That sucks.
He doesn't speak English, he speaks Portuguese. He winds up becoming a blacksmith's apprentice where he grows to a staggering size of 6'6", 280 pounds. Damn. Now, obviously, that's a large man by today's standards, but it's not like freakishly insanely big by today's standards. But you gotta remember, this is the mid-1700s.
Yeah,
the average man is only 5'5". George Washington in this era is renowned as being a giant man. He's only 6'2", 190 pounds. This guy is 4 inches larger and 100 pounds heavier. And he has what can only be described as super.
Isn't that like, that's like the third person from the Civil War? We just had friggin' giants on our side this entire time, because there's Washington, who is 6'2". This guy, what was the other guy? Oh, we'll have to go through the gorilla video. I haven't watched that one in a while, and I don't remember his name. It's the guerrilla war fighter of the Revolutionary War.
Human strength, because despite his massive size, which would imply that he's very strong, he was somehow able to lift an 1,100-pound cannon barrel onto his shoulder and carry it off the battlefield so it didn't fall into the hands of the British at the Battle of Camden. Then, according to legend, after hearing about this and seeing him on the battlefield on other occasions, George Washington himself committed.
That doesn't seem physically possible. Hi, Annie. Hi, Annie Actual. How you doing? Good morning, or good evening for me, but good morning for you.
Commissioned the creation of somewhere between a 5-foot and 6-foot long broadsword for Peter Francisco that was so large and so heavy, the average man of that time couldn't even unsheath it.
That's not a knife.
That's a knife.
Francisco then proceeded to carry that sword into battle at Guilford's courthouse and cut 11 British soldiers in half. And
Okay, and all right, peak electrician there, using berserk there. Going well. We're just starting off our first react with Fat Electrician history time with the America's Hercules.
somewhere along the way, he once also got into a bar fight by himself against 11 British dragoons, beat all of them, and then stole their horses. And that is the legend of Peter Francisco, but I now believe that I have the full story. And being completely intellectually honest with you, I cannot prove beyond the shadow of a doubt with hard evidence and primary sources that this is exactly how everything went down.
Very large sword.
But
It's a great sword.
This is the best guess, and we're going to get to it right after a word from our sponsor. What are you doing?
Look what the
Delete me?
Got me.
Oh, you got you a Ninja Turtle?
Yeah.
You know what the Easter Bunny's tax rate is?
No.
It's 0.
0.
Yeah. Good job.
Oh my god, his kids are so cute.
All right, you guys know the deal. Delete me.
Delete
Online
me!
subscription Model. You give them money every month. They turn around and make sure that data brokers on the internet
I do
aren't selling your
like
personal
delete me.
information.
Again,
what does this actually do in practice?
Before he goes on his spiel, because he's a better talking, does the talking better than me. I use delete me. I highly recommend if you ever are worried about anything or you want to get information scrubbed off the internet, please use delete me. I use it. I pay for it. It's totally worth it. I got it right after I was dumb and got an account hacked. We're not going to go into that. So yeah, it's something I use. Is an amazing thing. So I actually like it. It keeps all the data brokers from selling your data. The only thing it doesn't keep scrubbed off the internet is dark web, and well, can't really do much about that. Anyways.
It gets rid of your personal info, isn't just floating around the internet for anybody to be able to buy for a couple of bucks. Okay, I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. I don't want to give delete me all my personal information either. I'm trying to get my personal information off the internet. Why would I give it to an internet company? You don't really have to give them your personal information. It's honestly kind of creepy. I gave them my name and my email address, and that was it. They came back to me a couple of days later and was like, is this your address or one of your previous addresses? It was. Is this your mom's full name? Uh-huh. Is that your dad's full name? Uh-huh. Are you related to this person? Did you go to this high school? They knew everything about me and knew exactly who I was just by me giving them my name and my email. All I had to do was answer a couple of yes or no questions as to whether or not that was in fact me, which it was, at which point they're like, cool, go ahead, pay for our subscription service. We'll go to all the data brokers where we found this information and force them to delete it. And as long as you keep being a paying member, they will continue to monitor all these data brokers for your personal information. And if these data brokers do acquire
Speaking
it again,
of being
they will force
online,
them
let me
to
check
delete
the
it
X
again. In my
box,
opinion, it's
the
definitely
Twitter
worth
box.
it. I've been using them since before they were paying me to talk about them, and I'm going to keep using them after they quit paying me
Damn
to
it,
talk about them.
Galatius.
If you want to give it a try, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. Our story begins in 1765 at the docks of City Point, Virginia. One of the men working the docks this day is a guy by the name of James Durrell. There's a big ship anchored out there, and then he sees that the whaling boat is getting rowed closer and closer to the dock, so he goes out to the dock to meet these people to see what they want. As they get closer and closer, he can start to see, okay, there's some grown men, and then what appears to be a child on board. They get closer and closer. Eventually, they pull up to the dock, don't tie off or anything, just hand him a 5-year-old boy and then row away. So James is like, what the fuck? And those guys just keep rowing. So he looks down at this 5.
Excuse me? Row, row, row your boat, handing off a child. Merrily, merrily. Just. You, take this child. Goodbye. Seriously, you're just staying there like, hey, hon, we have a kid now.
5-year-old kid. The kid is in very, very nice clothes. He's got silver buckles on his shoes that are the letters P and H. Like, it's very apparent that whatever family this kid comes from, that family has money. So he looks at this 5-year-old little rich kid and is like, what is going on? Who are you? And the kid just like looks at him blankly. And then he comes to realize, okay, this kid, he doesn't speak English. So he resorts to the timeless classic. My name is James. James, what's your name? And the kid looks at him and says, Pedro Francisco. All right, Pedro Francisco. The P and H boot buckles are starting to make a little bit more sense now. We don't call people Pedro here. This
Your DoorDash order is here. I didn't order a child. Stop it, Andrews.
is America. Your name's Peter now.
Hello, Peter.
From here, not really knowing what to do, maybe somebody's coming to pick this kid up later, so he takes him up to the wharf, gets the kid fed. The whole day passes.
gosh.
Nobody
Oh,
comes to get
Jesus.
this kid. So they get him a bed, he stays a night, and he ends up living there for weeks, and nobody's coming to get this kid.
Imagine nowadays with DoorDash. They got my order wrong. Oh, what'd they get wrong? They gave me a child. Yeah, would you like credit for that? And I could see it with some of the police videos we've done. DoorDasher driving away. All right, James. Let's get home. That was the last dash for the night. James? Why is the guy's pizza still in? Oh shit, James! We can't take a human.
Nobody knows who he is.
Oh my
From here,
god.
they start theorizing. They figure out, you know, this kid speaks Portuguese. Maybe he was kidnapped by those guys and then they decided to back out and dropped him off. Or maybe they were trying to hold him for ransom and they weren't going to pay the ransom and didn't know what to do with the kid. Or maybe
Not
he was
publicly.
taken on
Yes,
as a
exactly.
captain's apprentice and the captain took the money to take him on as an apprentice but didn't actually want to train him, so he just dropped him off at a dock somewhere. We have no idea. And nobody would know for sure who this kid was or where he came from until like the 1970s. In 1971, a doctor would go to Terceira Island in the Azores island chain off of Portugal, and there
19. Almost 200. No. Over 200 years before anyone figured out who the fuck he was. I just went, yeah.
he would set about figuring out who Peter or Pedro Francisco actually was. And he found that there was a Pedro Francisco born on the island in 1760 to a fairly wealthy family, and that wealthy family had a bunch of documentation on the island. They had birth certificates, death certificates for the mother, the father, the siblings, but for Pedro Francisco, there was only a birth certificate, no death certificate, no other documentation proving that he lived on that island other than that, which strongly suggests that he was kidnapped. But nobody's gonna figure that out for 200 years, and there's this kid living inside the wharf, and eventually the local authorities come by and they're like, look, this kid can't live here forever. We're gonna have to take him and put him into an orphanage. And the workers at the wharf, they've come to like this kid. He's starting to learn English. He's a nice kid. He can stay here with us. You don't have to ship him off to an orphanage. And the local authorities are like, absolutely not. We're not gonna let a bunch of dock workers raise a kid. No. So the workers want to make sure.
To be honest, that's probably the best place for that kid to grow up around, because ain't no one gonna fuck with him. I think more or less what it's kind of alluded to is whatever happened there is he was kidnapped and the entire family was killed at the same time that he was kidnapped. Or there was like a mass, like something going on, a fire or something, and the father got him to the boat. They're like, get ready to take him. They ran back, and then no one ever came back out, and they're like, I guess we're just taking off. So like that's kind of like where I'm thinking is either he was kidnapped and the rest of the family was killed off, or there was like a fire of some sorts and he was the only survivor because the father got him out and went back for the rest and didn't make it back out.
He goes to a good home, call up somebody they know, this wealthy guy in town, a guy by the name of Judge Anthony Winston, who lives on this massive plantation right outside of town. He comes by, visits the kid, he likes the kid, he agrees that he'll take the kid in. The judge tells the local authorities, I'm gonna handle it. It's 1764. Judge says he's gonna take care of it. Okay, the matter is settled. He goes to live in Hunting Tower with Judge Anthony Winston. From here, we don't know a ton about his childhood. We know that he was never an indentured servant, but we also know that he was never formally adopted. The best guess is that the judge loved him, thought of him as a son, raised him that way, but the judge's wife didn't really care for him and she wouldn't allow him to formally adopt him. So basically, Peter grows up on this plantation getting treated like Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He's the bastard child that's still, you know, the son of the king. He pretty much immediately starts growing like a weed. Allegedly, he's the size of a full-grown man by the time he's like 8 years old, and obviously he outgrows the shoes that he showed up at the dock with, and remember, those shoes had those very ornate
I need that soundboard that to play women.
P and H shoe buckles on him, and the judge didn't want those to get, you know, thrown out or him to lose them because it's the only thing he has that he showed up to America with. So the judge, as a gift to him, has them recrafted from shoe buckles into knee buckles that would go on his pants that he would wear for the rest of his life. We also know that obviously this was the 1700s. He's clearly going to end up working on this plantation, and the thing that he gravitated toward at a young age was blacksmithing, and then he would actually go out and shoe the horses. By the time he was 10, he was almost 6 feet tall, and it was said that when a horse didn't want to get shoed, he could physically hold the horse's leg and shoe it at the same time.
Excuse me? 10 years old and almost 6 feet tall? The shit?
While it was resisting. We also know that he didn't really get any formal education because he wasn't able to read or write till much later in life. However, he was exceptionally intelligent because he was always hanging out with his new dad, Judge Winston, and all of his buddies. And one of those buddies that came to visit frequently was a lawyer by the name of Patrick Henry that would go on to become Peter Francisco's mentor. If you don't know, Patrick Henry is one of the biggest voices early on in the American Revolution, and Peter Francisco would follow him around from town to town while he delivered speeches, basically stoking the flames of what would become the American Revolution. And this comes to a head on March 30th, 1775, when Peter Francisco is 15 years old at St. John's Episcopal Church in Richmond, Virginia, when Patrick Henry delivers one of the most famous lines in American history, "Give me liberty or give me death." And Peter Francisco is sitting right there when it happens. And this is a tipping point for Peter Francisco. I mean, he's been following around Patrick Henry for years at this point, listening to these speeches. He's already got this huge amount of patriotism and understanding for his age. And then he hears those words, "Give me liberty or give me death." As soon as he gets back home to Judge Winston, he goes to him and asks his permission to join the United States military. And Judge Winston has, you know, the proud dad moment of, "I'm really proud I helped raise a man that wants to do this," but also, "You're 15 years old. I understand that right now you're 6'5", 250 pounds, and I'm looking up at you while I say this, but you're not old enough. We need to give it a little bit more time." And Peter actually ends up respecting his father's wishes, and he waits until he has permission, which would come about a year later on October 10th, 1776, when he would enlist in the 10th Virginia Regiment. So the 10th Virginia Regiment, a lot like many other...
Oh my god, sorry. I have to pause there. Like, again, he's... Yeah. Ridiculous. But I have to pause there because Heinz posted up something. Making the comment about, like, Mr. Beast posts. I don't know if this was in the video, but Mr. Beast made a post about if you hit the blue button, if the blue button is over 50%, everyone lives. But if the blue button's lower than 50%, everyone who hit the red button lives. Everyone else gets killed off. And people are like, well, we'll just hit the blue button to get it over 50%. Or if everyone hits the red button, everyone lives. Only the people who hit the blue button don't live. Like, it's the social experiment of I trust more people to be selfish than for the quote unquote greater good, but it's the sheep mentality of, well, if we all hit the blue button, then everyone lives. But you can, the stupid button one. And I'm like, it's like, yeah, I get where people are coming from the blue button, but again, if everyone hits the red button, it's the same result. Like, legitimately, it says blue button if there's less than 50%, anyone who hit the red button lives. Okay, so if we all just hit the red button, we all live. But there's no negative. But people look at it as, well, there's no negative to the blue button. That's true. But at the same time, it's like, it's a social experiment that I'm like, I don't get why Mr. Beast did that. I get it. Yeah, and that's the big thing. That's the other caveat to it is not everyone's going to agree. Well, yeah, let's all just hit the red button. There's going to be people that are like, I don't trust that guy's going to hit the red button. Let me hit the blue button. Or that guy's only out for himself. So let's save everyone. So it's that weird, like, no one wanting to talk about it and being like, well, let's just do this. And the funny part is, like, I saw the percentages. It was like 46 to 54. I'm like, all right, people. It's a really, it's like every time I see it, I'm like, ugh. There are people that they correlate with that. It's a good point, Jackal, is they correlate with politics. I'm like, it's not a political thing. It's literally a social experiment. but because you relate a color to a party, people get like, oh, it's like no, it's the political parties didn't have colors until really the late 70s. Is before Carter. I think it was. I don't know. I'd have to relook. We didn't actually start distinguishing red and blue until like the right before Carter, I think. Sorry, I saw that. I just had to bring it up. My ADD break. Yeah, the button thing, Zach.
Other American military units at this point in time, early on in the Revolutionary War, it's just a ragtag group of whoever. You've got everything from 16, 17-year-old kids that are showing up, don't even know how to use a musket, and you've got crazy mountain men coming from the wild frontier that have been fighting Native Americans, wearing buckskins, carrying mountain rifles and tomahawks. So obviously, Peter kind of sticks out. He's like 15, 16 years old. He's a foot taller than everybody else. He's 100 pounds bigger, and he can't really shoot a musket to save his life. Because of that,
I will agree with that. Like it's one of those, like, it's the entire Thanos thing of removing half of all life in the universe. The devastating effects of just half the world just dying off is not good either, because it's a massive, like, it's an ecological shift that's so massive that would actually cause a collapse of it, not just a society but of the world itself in general, because you'd be losing who knows of what, and things collapsing. It's just no matter what, it's like neither, like, one option is we don't trust people, the other option is we trust people but we don't know what the result's going to be, and if we're just going to remove 50% of the population, or 49% of the population ish, roughly. Lowest could be is 49.9% of the population type thing. But the Thanos snap is literally Thanos' snap of removing half the world's population, half the universe's population, will have been ecologically devastating. Granted, he did do it in the comics, but comics don't run on us. Not reality.
he gets singled out. A lot of the guys are giving him a hard time, and then one day that all changes when this wild frontiersman wearing a buckskin with the rifle and the tomahawk, just like I said, his name's John Allen, starts giving Peter Francisco shit about how bad he is at shooting this musket.
What, Zach?
And he's ripping into him, and he's like, you can't hit a cow at 60 yards, and I can hit a squirrel at 200 yards. In fact, I could probably hit a target better with my tomahawk than you can with your musket. Go ahead, Peter. Why don't you go ahead, point to something, I'll hit it with my tomahawk. I'll show you. So Peter, being the smart kid, he sets him up. He looks down and he goes, okay, you see that pine tree? Okay, look like 10, 15 feet up. You see that patch right there where the branches split? Hit that. John Allen jumps up, throws his tomahawk, and splits this thing right down the middle. John Allen looks around as arrogant as ever, like, see, told you I could do that shit. And Peter Francisco just says in front of all the other boys, yeah, that was pretty impressive. How are you gonna get it down?
Gotcha, bitch.
Everybody starts laughing their ass off like the kid just set you up. You just lost your tomahawk. Absolutely hilarious. John.
That smart kid. Hey, you see that thing? Hit it. Cool. Now how you are you down? I like you.
Allen gets fucking pissed. Peter Francisco, big sweetheart, big teddy bear, actually starts to feel bad for the guy, so he walks over to the tree, looks over at John Allen, he squats down and puts his hand like this and says, John, come here, sit on my hand. And John Allen's like, I'm not doing that. I'm a 170-pound man. I'm not gonna let you pick me up into this tree so I can get my tomahawk down. And Peter Francisco, using his gigantic booming voice, just goes, sit! Peter then proceeds.
I think that's Police Academy too. That was such a good scene.
to single-handedly lift a grown-ass man by his ass into the tree so he can receive his tomahawk, and sets him back down. Which coincidentally was the last time anybody gave Peter shit. Also, him and John Allen became really good friends. Now from here,
Yeah,
they
that
get
makes
sent off
sense.
to their first battle at the Battle of Brandywine. Basically, what's going on at the war at this point in time is the British General Howe has decided he's going to take a massive British force, march south from New York to Philadelphia, the home of the revolution, and just crush the revolution right now, right out of the gate. George Washington needs to get there, get past Philadelphia, intercept him to save it so the revolution can live on. So obviously, in order to do that, he's going to have to march all of his men either past or through Philadelphia, and he opts to go through Philadelphia and stage a parade, because you got to remember, there's still people that are loyal to the crown, there's people that are loyal to the revolution, and he thinks showing people, here's how many young men are willing to go off and fight for this, you should believe in them, and maybe we can actually win this war. So on August 24th, 1777,
Fucking
10,000 American patriots marched through Philadelphia on their way to Brandywine Creek to stop the British, Peter Francisco included. Obviously, Peter sticks out marching through this parade, being like 18 inches taller than everybody else. Fast forward a couple of weeks, Peter's gonna see his first taste.
Yeah, again, he's like 6'6", and like the average height of most men in the late 1700s is 5'6". Like, he's a good head taller than a lot of people. And if you put him on a horse, he's a monster.
The battle on September 11th, 1777, at the
Yeah.
Battle of Brandywine, Washington's army is set up, blocking all the easy crossing points along the Brandywine River. Washington's plan here is to basically force all the British people under General Howe's command to have to march through these narrow channels to cross the river, and his army is going to light them up in this fatal funnel and win the battle. It's a solid plan. What Washington doesn't know is that a bunch of Tories, people that are still loyal to the British, have went around and then informed the British of the crossing points that aren't guarded or are very lightly guarded, and the British have exploited that to move a massive force into Washington's flank, and he doesn't know they're there. So when the battle kicks off, the Americans get flanked from where they're not expecting it by a massive force, and the American line starts to disintegrate.
This is a classic thing, and Edge will remember this. When we used to play, when we were playing through Warhammer, we were playing through the PS1 Warhammer game. A very common thing of ambush and going, fuck. Not to mention, like, whenever we played, was it Romance of the Three Kingdoms? Like, we exploited the shit out of ambushes. If we could ambush someone, we would, and they'd fail every single time. The army would fold because you'd ambush them just right. And you didn't ambush them directly on the flanks, you ambushed them on the rear flanks. So you came in, so you had the main force from the front, and then coming in from the rear on the flanks, you'd ambush, and then armies would be like, oh, well, I guess I give up. We surrender. You're like, yeah.
Quickly, this situation goes from we're here to stop the British to we need to get the fuck out of here, otherwise we're all going to get captured and or killed, and the American Revolution is over before it's even really begun. So George Washington and Marquis de Lafayette jump into action. They start organizing the retreat, and Nathaniel Greene, aka the Fighting Quaker, takes the men under his command, the men from Virginia, including Peter Francisco, and forms a new line to cover their retreat. So Peter Francisco and his guys get the order. They run out of this wood line into this open plowed field. They're going to set up a new line and cover the retreat of Washington and Marquis de Lafayette's men, and Peter elects to bring some of the wood line with him. According to the story, he picks up what is described as a medium-sized tree and carries it into the plowed field with him and lays it long ways so him and a bunch of other guys can use it for cover. So Peter and his buddies are posted up behind this tree waiting for the order to fire. They get...
What do you mean medium-sized tree? Chubby electron. Yeah, that's the joke to it. Him. Miscreant. Thank you.
The order, they launch several volleys into the British line as they're approaching, and then they get the order to prepare for the bayonets. They're about to bayonet charge the British. Peter Francisco, oh shit moment, looks over to his right. There's his buddy John Allen. He can't mount a bayonet to his mountain rifle, so he pulls out his tomahawk. Peter Francisco looks to his left.
Yeah, Miscreant, thank you for the follow on both Kick and Twitch, by the way.
There's his other buddy, Adams. They all stand up and get ready to hop over this tree and make the charge, and Adams takes a round directly to the chest and falls over dead. Peter, 17-year-old kind-hearted gentle giant, seeing his friend killed a foot to his left, loses his shit, hops the tree, and charges the British before the order's even given. And
Edge, that would have been Enigma in that time. Out of all of us, if Enigma had seen one of us get just taken out, he would have, because we know how he can be. That would have been him. He would have been like, nope, fuck you all.
All the rest of the 10th Virginia follows. And Peter isn't even effectively using his bayonet, you know, like a spear. He's literally out there swinging a 6-foot-tall rifle and bayonet like it is a baseball bat, knocking British in half, and it's described as cutting men down as if it were a scythe.
He ran his sword through that man as though he were nothing.
Someone dies every time he swings his sword.
This goes on for
That's scary. I'm not gonna lie. I know, right? He's like, dude, my friend just died. Fuck you. And then took his musket and just swung it. I'd hate to be that British guy. Hey, they're charging us. Whop. I can't feel my legs anymore. People die when they are killed. Oh my god.
for a little bit, and then eventually the British just kind of evaporate. The rest of the unit that they were engaging falls back to the other end of this field, and the men under Nathaniel Greene's command continue engaging the British in this shootout where they hold off long enough for the rest of the army to retreat, and it finally ends at nightfall. The American army retreats back to Chester, which is on the Delaware River. The battle did not go how they wanted, but the revolution survived to fight another day. Cutting back to Peter Francisco, after the British that he's engaging in hand-to-hand combat are all either dead or retreated, John Allen, who also survived, points out like, hey, Peter, you're bleeding from your leg. He looks down, he's got blood all over his leg. He's like, huh. He then proceeds to go to the field hospital. It is there that he finds out that he's been shot in the leg by a musket, and he is, by sheer coincidence or fate, sat down in an aid tent right next to another man who was famously shot in the leg at the Battle of Brandywine, Marquis de Lafayette. Marquis de Lafayette immediately recognizes him as like, oh, you must be the only giant fucking dude moving trees on the battlefield. That was impressive as shit. He then instructs the doctor that is helping him, and only him, to help Peter Francisco as well. Which raises a question for some of you: why does this Marquis de Lafayette guy have his own personal doctor? Well, because he's kind of fucking important. You see, Marquis de Lafayette isn't his name, it's actually his title. His real name is Gilbert Montier, and he is French nobility.
Yeah, he's the French consulate that was helping set up everything for the Americans to win their independence. He was our contact point. He's like our biggest contact point for the French.
I'm being beaten up by a guy called Rupert.
Which is weird because King Louis of France made it illegal for French nobility or French officers to go help in the American Revolution. And Gilbert over here at 19 years old said, fuck that, I'm gonna go fight in the American Revolution anyways because I want to. This kid is the equivalent of like a billionaire back then, okay? He had an inheritance that granted him $50,000 a month back in the 1700s. It's millions of dollars today. He
won't see any millionaire kids doing that ever. Saying.
Went down in France to a harbor, bought a ship, sailed it to America, and then got in with George Washington and started helping fight against the British. And later on, he is the one that would convince France to help America in the revolution. It's not an exaggeration to say that if this rich kid didn't get a wild hair up his ass to go fight the British, America might not even exist today. And now Peter Francisco is sitting next to him in the field hospital, and they've just become best friends. So they're hanging out.
Yeah. That's a very good point, because we'd just be the New English territories, probably. But it'd only be about half the country, I would think. Like where I live, like anything west of the Mississippi would probably be French Canadian or Mexican. Like that's how I'm feeling. That's how that would be.
In this hospital tent for a few days, they become really good buddies. Marquis de Lafayette's gonna get shipped out to a bigger hospital for more care, and Peter Francisco, he's young, he's a giant, he's a freak of nature. He's already healed and well enough to get back on the front lines. So before they go to part ways, Marquis de Lafayette is like, hey, what do you want? What can I do for you? I want like a token of gratitude, you know, of our friendship or whatever. And Peter Francisco's kind of caught off guard, and he's like, I don't know. I guess I could really use a sword, like a big one, bigger than the tiny ones that you guys are all carrying around. And Marquis de Lafayette is like, obviously, a giant sword for a giant man. I'll talk to Washington for you. And that's it. They part ways, and that's the last he hears of it for a while. From here, Peter Francisco...
Far be it for a Frenchman to follow. Yeah, I know, right?
participates at the Battle of
100%
Germantown, which
Andrews.
will ultimately be another American loss. After that, he is detached from the 10th Virginia Regiment and reassigned to a light infantry unit that is, at this point in time, the cream of the crop, the best America has to offer, in many ways, the Special Forces Green Berets of their day. With his new unit, he sees combat at Fort Mifflin, also known as Mud Island, which would ultimately culminate in another American loss before they have to bed down for winter at Valley Forge. We have no idea of Peter's personal story at Valley Forge, but it's probably because it sucked and nobody wanted to remember it. Basically, they sat there all through winter, froze their ass off. They had very little clothing. Some guys didn't have shoes. They were all starving and afflicted with disease, and a ton of people died. Coming out of winter in Valley Forge, the war resumes, and Peter next sees combat at the Battle of Monmouth in June of 1778. Tactically speaking, this battle results in a draw, which isn't great, but up until this point, America was kind of getting their asses beat every time they met them. Now, coming out of Valley Forge, they appear to be fighting better. So that's good. As for Peter Francisco specifically, he gets shot in the leg again, which he proceeds to walk it off and go to his next battle. And that battle is at Stony Point. All right, here's what's going on at the Battle of Stony Point. Stony Point has this fort. This fort is considered impregnable and overlooks the Hudson River, so no ships could get past it without taking cannon fire. Pretty strategic position. The Americans had control of it. The British, utilizing their massive navy, took a bunch of troops up there, took it over.
Damn it, Zach. No, impenetrable, not impregnable. We're not going to deal with those gens, which made me very like scholarly instincts taking on.
Sending the message to George Washington and the Revolution, hey,
Challenge accepted.
Navy, we can
I
do
know,
what the fuck we
right?
want. To which George Washington
Yeah, seriously, that's one of those. Oh, it's impenetrable? Watch me. See, that's where I would die. People would be like, we can't break into that fortress. Watch. Bet. I need 3 guys that don't care about their lives. Let's go. Hold my beer. Yep.
famously replied, and I quote, bet. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't actually say that, but his actions did. George Washington personally
Hold on.
Your Navy, we can do what the fuck we want. To which George Washington famously replied, and I quote, bet. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't actually say that, but his actions did. George Washington personally rides up there to evaluate the impregnable defenses of Stony Point, and he comes up with a plan. But first, he needs more intel. He needs to know the weaknesses of this fort from inside the fort. So he has an officer pretend to surrender under a white flag, get inside the fort, and then take a bunch of mental notes of what the best strategy would be. And when he gets that intel back to him, they come to the conclusion that the backside is going to be the weakest. To which George Washington is like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to
No. Say it, Jackal. Because if you don't say it, I'm gonna say it. I'm so sorry. No. So the backside's the weakest, eh? You never liked it from the back door. I'm out. Especially if you proper. Oh my god. Oh. Also, why even the power electrician stopped him with. Hey. One more, Jacko. One more. Backside's the weakest, especially if you have a huge battering ram. I'll give you one more. Yeah, one more. Make it good. Let's see what. Now there's pressure on it. That is true. The backside is indeed impregnable. What, you've never heard of ass babies before, Zach? Never mind. That's especially when you sneak up. Oh my god. All right, that's a good one. Especially when you sneak up on it when it least expects it. Hey, how you doing?
Pick our most elite unit, our best guys, the light infantry that Peter Francisco is currently in. We're going to have them, under the cover of night, sneak around the backside, scale the cliffs, scale the wall of the fort, get in there with bayonets, and kill everybody. In order to do that, we're going to launch a distraction. I'm going to move a bunch of troops up to the fort from the land. We're going to open fire with muskets and cannons at night so I have their attention, and the guys with the bayonets are going to come up from behind them and take the entire fort. And they're not just winging this. They've thought this out. They take white pieces of paper and have all the American troops stick them in their hats. That way they can identify each other in the darkness of night. They send scouts out days before to get rid of all the stray dogs so they don't have to worry about a dog barking.
Hell yeah.
Using the HF
And the
hat.
guys that are going to go around the back end.
Essentially, they had guys go out there and kill all the English dogs, so the English dogs couldn't bark that there was someone coming up from behind.
And scale the wall, are ordered not to even load their muskets because they don't want to misfire. They're going to scale the wall and get straight into a knife fight. Okay, I'm speculating here, but I'm assuming Peter Francisco is pumped about being on this mission. Okay, he doesn't like the whole let's stand in a line and fire our muskets. He's not that good at shooting a rifle. He is good, however, at beating the shit out of people up and close because he's a giant. And that is why he's given a special mission within the special mission. Peter, you're going to be the one that gets to the flagpole and rips down their colors. Okay, because you got to remember, this is back in the day. This is basically a giant game of
That's a
capture the
good
flag.
point,
If I
yeah.
get to your flagpole, rip the colors down, and raise my colors, I win. So we're sending in Peter Francisco to take out whoever you've got guarding that flagpole. I don't know who you guys got playing goalie.
God, I'd feel bad. I would feel bad guarding that flagpole. Like, yeah, no motherfucker's going to get here. Got my pistol out. I got my saber out. Yeah, I got this. I got this guard. Drops pistol, drops saber. I give up.
Over there, but they're about to have a bad day. The plan kicks off on July 16th, 1779, right at midnight when Washington has his men start opening
Day
fire
after
on
my
the front
birthday.
side of the fort. After the attack is underway and the British begin firing back, they have the British's attention. The light infantry moves around the outside, being led by Lieutenant James Gibbons. They wade through the waters of the Hudson River, then they scale the walls of
That's a
the
good one,
fort, and the
Jackal.
first man over the wall is Lieutenant James Gibbons, and the man right behind him is Peter Francisco. As the rest of the men scale the wall, they begin their bayonet attack, and Peter Francisco heads straight to the flagpole. As he approaches it, it is being guarded by a single man, and then the British alarm.
That is, I feel sorry for this one man because it's either he dies horribly or he gave up.
Goes off, but it's too late. There's already hundreds of American light infantry inside the fort. As Peter bears down on this lone sentry, the sentry becomes aware of the presence of Peter, and judging by the oh shit look on his face, he's already fired his musket and he doesn't have enough time to reload. At this
That was the wrong choice. That was the wrong choice.
point, Peter charges, and to the sentry's credit, the guy stands his ground and he lunges at Peter and attempts to bayonet him. Peter quickly takes one hand off of his rifle, swats this guy's bayonet away. The bayonet just grazes his abdomen, giving him a 9-inch gash across his stomach, and stabs him with the other arm. Peter then presumably removes the British colors, hoists the American flag, and guards the flagpole for the remainder of the battle, which only lasts about 25 minutes before every redcoat inside the fortress is killed and or captured. Now it's at this point that I need to keep us on track here. Peter Francisco is 19 years old. He's already fought in multiple battles in the Revolutionary War. He's been shot in the leg twice. He now has a 9-inch saber wound across his abdomen, and he spent winter in Valley Forge, freezing and starving to death. At this point, it's probably time to take a break.
Yeah. Dragons!
Yeah, so anyways, the next battle he fights in is Paulus Hook about a month later. We don't know much about what Peter did during this battle, but it was said that he stalked and killed 2 British grenadiers despite his injuries. Next couple of months after that were pretty uneventful, and by December, the army's getting ready to winter down in New Jersey, and Peter Francisco's enlistment is up, so he decides that he's gonna go home.
I don't like the title of that. I know he's Portuguese, but that just sounds like an Irishman. Just saying.
So Peter heads back home, and when he gets there, to his surprise, his aura has kind of shifted in relation to everybody else. He's used to getting stared at and getting looks out in public, but it was always, holy shit, look at the size of that one. And now it's, holy shit, that's Peter Francisco, the war hero. People now know who he is. He has respect from pretty much everybody. Aside from that, life just kind of goes back to normal. He's living at Huntington Tower with his dad, and he's shoeing horses. He's working on the plantation. He's just doing Peter Francisco stuff for like 6 months. Except for, you know, now he does have a new thing. He does like to go out drinking with the boys at the local tavern because, well, he served with a lot of these guys. The 10th Virginia Regiment was all recruited from the same general area, and a lot of them also finished their enlistment and came back home. So now he's got a new group of buddies. Then one day the boys are out drinking at the bar. They're having a couple of beers, and then some sergeant from the army comes in and he starts trying to recruit people. Obviously, this starts with swapping war stories, people talking up Peter Francisco, how awesome he is. Next thing you know, Peter Francisco wakes up the next morning after a bender and is then informed that he got so drunk he re-enlisted in the army. And then it gets worse when he realizes that wasn't a Continental Army.
There's probably something negative here, but it's one of those. Dude, you got so drunk? You re-enlisted. Oh, fuck, man. Hold on. Let's see who what happened. We'll go back real quick.
That he got so drunk he re-enlisted in the army. And then it gets worse when he realizes that wasn't a Continental Army recruiter. That was a recruiter for the Virginia militia.
Ooh.
I need you to understand how ridiculous this is. Peter Francisco was basically top-level Special Forces operator of his day. He was trained by Frederick von Steuben with the light infantry. He shared the battlefield with Marquis de Lafayette and George Washington, and he just got drunk and accidentally enlisted in the militia. This is like Rambo joining the National Guard, okay? Like, not that there's anything wrong with serving in the National Guard, it's just we weren't expecting that caliber of person to come through the doors. You know what I mean? It's like a high school.
By the way, if you guys didn't know, Nick, the fat electrician, was part of the National Guard. He was a medic in the National Guard. So,
school football team drafting Marshawn Lynch for their running back.
If you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and 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 over.
But you know what? Judge Winston didn't raise him to be a bitch. He said he was going to do it, so he goes off and does it. So Peter shows up to the militia. He recognizes some other guys there. Like, there's some guys that have previous actual Continental Army experience, so that's good. But everybody else is just untrained, whoever Joe Blow that showed up with their own gun. Then the man in charge of the militia, Colonel William Mayo, sees Peter Francisco walking by, and he's like, oh shit, that's Peter Francisco. Hey, come here. Yeah, you're you're my bodyguard now. Shortly thereafter, he finds himself being the bodyguard for Colonel William Mayo at the Battle of Camden. Now, at the Battle of Camden, the Americans line up against the British. It's 2,100 Americans versus 4,000 British. The Americans have 1,500 regulars, Continental Army guys, and 600 militia. Peter Francisco and the militia are off to one side of the formation, and the battle kicks off. They're trading volleys back and forth, and the British start marching towards them. So the Virginia militia starts marching at them as well. Now, the problem here is a lot of militia at the time didn't have bayonets. All of the British have bayonets. So another volley or two gets fired back and forth, and then it becomes apparent they're about to get into a bayonet fight, and they don't have bayonets, at which point some of them turn around and start running. And then more, and then more, and then more. They're just running past Colonel Mayo and Peter Francisco. Peter Francisco and the Colonel are yelling at their guys, trying to form them back up, trying to reassure them. It's not working. These guys are running for the wood line. And very quickly it goes from Colonel Mayo trying to get his men to stand their ground to, hey guys, can we at least bring the cannons with us, please? I mean, we're in a war. These are kind of important. They're hard to come by. We don't want to lose them to the...
Yeah, back then, a cannon was like an F-22 Raptor. $125 million. Those are not cheap. Those are very expensive pieces of equipment. Reaper! Dark, thank you for the follow. It looks like... Yep, Kick. Put the follow over there on Kick.
The British, we're going to need these for later.
Yeah.
Let's grab the guns. Nobody listens.
100%.
They keep
They
running
were.
for the
They
woodline.
were expensive.
Thinking
They're
fast,
super
Peter
expensive.
Francisco evaluates the situation, looks at the gun. The horses that were pulling it are dead now, and he just kind of like walks around it real quick, then lifts it and breaks the cannon tube free from like the wheels and the yoke, and then proceeds to pick it up onto his shoulder and carry it to behind the Continental line because the Continentals are still in the fight. Now, according to legend, this cannon barrel weighed 1,100 pounds, which... let's be honest here, that's not humanly possible. There's nobody on the planet that can lift 1,100 pounds. The strongest men today that are Peter Francisco's height or taller and weigh 400 pounds can barely deadlift 1,000 pounds, let alone hoist up an irregular shaped tube of metal onto their shoulder and carry it through a field. And we know this because they got together and they tried. Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, and Robert Oberst.
Holy shit, like the strongest men in the world tried to do this? Okay.
Some of the strongest humans to ever walk the face of the planet with the benefits of steroids and modern science, and they were unable to lift a cannon that was even 400 pounds and complete this feat. They came to the consensus that this cannon probably could have weighed somewhere between 300 and 350 pounds, which is the approximate weight of what a smaller cannon during the Revolutionary War would have weighed.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have superhuman strength. I can lift 300 pounds and...
Oh, God. The communists, the internet retards coming out here. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, 350 pounds. Like, I've worked as a mechanic. You pick up heavy things. Some things are a little irregular, some things are not. Some things are easier to pick up and weigh a lot more than others. Cannons are 350 pounds of just metal. That's not an easy, like, pick up and grab and walk away.
The gym, you can shut the fuck up. You can lift 300 pounds in the gym after you've stretched and warmed up, and that weight is perfectly balanced and designed to be picked up by a human, and then you can lift it in a very strict mechanical motion. Your ass is not about to pick up a 300-pound metal object that is irregular shaped with a weird weight that you can't get a grip on, hoist it onto your shoulder, and farmers carry it through a battlefield while you're getting ran down by British dragoons. Is the
Oh, sorry, that was a long rant. And we've got ads on Twitch. Rip. Yeah, and not evenly distributed, weird shape. Yeah, there's so much to a cannon. To a cannon barrel that it's like, that's not an easy task. That's not an easy ask. Like, that's just like, probably would have been easier for him to pick up the reins if they weren't still attached to the horses. Pick up the reins and wheel it away. But that's still, 400 pounds that you're pulling. That's still, yeah, it's on wheels, but it's still 400 pounds that you're pulling. That's none of that's an easy task. Whether you're pulling the carriage, picking up the cannon, like the picking up the cannon is the more impressive part because you have to rip it off the hinges that attached it to that thing. B, it's also picking up in a weird way and it not being a shape that is easily distributed. You're just asking to hurt yourself. Yeah, and again, no gear, no pre-workout, no protein, nothing that we have nowadays to help accentuate or build up someone's ability to do that. And in an active battle, while being shot at, while people are charging you. Yeah, there's you have way too many factors, and he still did this. Even if it's not 1,100 pounds, even if it's 300 pounds, 350 pounds, that's ridiculously impressive. You can't sit there and be like, well, I could do that. No, you can't. No, you can't. That's also adrenaline and rushing to get it done. That's probably why he ripped it out, is because he was rushing to get that cannon out. You're dealing with adrenaline, you're dealing with a whole bunch of extra things on top of being shot at, possibly, or stabbed. Yeah, I know, right?
1,100-pound
So
cannon
he's
thing
pretty
and embellishment, almost certainly. They probably took the weight of the actual cannon plus the wheels plus the yoke and everything else and said it was 1,100 pounds. But in reality, this man just carried a 350-pound cannon through a battlefield. He is a freak of nature. Cutting back to the actual battle, Peter Francisco drags his cannon back to the Continental Line, gets it to relative safety, and then he hears Colonel Mayo yell, and he turns around and sees that Colonel Mayo is being held at gunpoint by a British grenadier, and he's like, oh shit, I'm supposed to protect that guy. So he immediately grabs his musket and shoots that British grenadier. That guy drops, the colonel's saved, and then immediately there's a British guy on a horse with a sword barreling down on the colonel. Peter Francisco quickly runs, shoves the colonel out of the way, stabs this British guy off of his horse, and then chases down and grabs the horse. By the time he gets his horse, he's like a couple hundred yards away from the colonel, so thinking fast, needing to get this horse back to the colonel, he grabs a hat off of a dead British guy, puts it on his head, and then he takes his coat off, so he's just rolling around with his undershirt with a British hat on, so the British are just assuming he's one of them, rides through the rest of the battle straight to the colonel, hops off the horse, gets the colonel on the horse, and says, get the fuck out of here. The colonel takes off on the horse, okay, cool, did my job, looks at the rest of the battlefield, the Continentals are starting to retreat this point, America's kind of getting its ass kicked, so he's like, I guess I'm going to the wood line too, goes back to the wood line, and he's like, I guess my enlistment's over? My unit's just been disbanded? Fuck this, I'm going home. Which is exactly what he does, thus concluding one of the greatest I got drunk at a bar once with my buddies stories ever. I mean, you talk about dad lore. Dad, what were you like when you were younger? Oh, let me tell you, son, me and my friends got drunk at a bar once. I accidentally enlisted in the Virginia militia, found myself at the Battle of Camden, where I picked up a 350-pound cannon, carried it to safety, and then I had to spear a guy off of a horse to save the colonel.
And I killed a guy with a trident.
And the best part, Colonel Mayo...
That's funny. That's a story.
Never forgot about me saving his ass, so when he passed away in his will, he left me 1,000 acres of land and gave me this decorative sword.
This is a sword that was given to Peter Francisco, a hero of the American Revolution.
That sword is very small for the man that Peter Francisco was.
So Peter Francisco goes home for a little bit, then he starts getting that itch again. He's like, man, riding that horse through the battlefield was kind of fun. Ah, fuck it, I'm gonna go re-enlist again. Now, technically, he does wind up joining the militia again, but this time it's not a new, propped-up, green militia unit that's never seen combat. This is an established militia that's been fighting for a while, and it's a cavalry unit. Buh, you said cavalry. Buh. No, I didn't. Okay, look, I talk fast, and when you talk fast, the words kind of sound similar, but I promise you, I'll put us all on the same page right now, okay? Peter Francisco will be riding a horse into battle, not the hill Jesus died on, although that would be way cooler. Now, shut up. Anyways, the militia's not like on its own doing militia stuff. They're immediately going to report to Colonel William Washington to join his cavalry, and they're going to be fighting in the next battle, so he's basically a regular. And when Francisco's unit does get to Colonel William Washington, this militia unit is oddly well equipped. Bayonets, new guns, the whole 9 yards. And when they get asked about it, they are informed that, oh, well, Peter Francisco, along the way there, decided that he was going to sneak into a British outpost and steal a bunch of shit and wheel it out under the dark of night with a hog sled. So go ahead and add world's biggest cat burglar to this.
Man, it's like, hey, you know what? We could use this shit. You know what I'm going to do? Going to take it. What are they going to do? Shoot me?
This guy's resume as well. Anyways, they're like, Peter Francisco. Why do I know that name? Oh shit, we have a package for that guy. We've been trying to find him. We're supposed to give it to him. It's from George Washington. Peter has no idea what this is about, so he gets his package. It is a 5-foot-long broadsword.
Yes! That's awesome!
He had completely forgotten that Marquis de la...
This is a D&D campaign in real life. Seriously, he's the barbarian of the group. That uses intimidating stealth. He doesn't use normal stealth. He uses intimidating stealth. What's intimidating stealth? You didn't see me. I don't see anything anymore. Oh God.
Lafayette was going to ask George Washington to custom make a broadsword for him to carry into battle. Apparently, Marquis de Lafayette did not forget. The sword is made, and now he has it. I wish I could show you a picture of the actual sword because I want to see it too. Unfortunately, the best...
You think this was John Wick during the Revolution? Just murk him. I know, right?
I can tell, the sword was destroyed in the early 1900s in a museum fire in Virginia. But I believe it looks something like this, which would be terrifying to have a giant swing at you. Buh, how convenient. The sword just disappeared one day. It's almost like it's one big giant legend and myth. Buh. No, asshole, the sword existed, and I can prove it because we have documentation in the Virginia State Library that in 1861, Peter Francisco's grandson tried to withdraw the sword from a museum so that he could carry it into the Civil War. We also have the testimony of
What the fuck? This is a piece of history. It was carried by this great person. Yo, that was my grandfather's. Can I take that? I need it. I need to go kill people with it. Can I please? But that's family. No? Fuck you then. Like that's all I can think of right there. Like, what the fuck?
The people that worked at the museum that supposedly the sword wound up at that said, yeah, there was definitely a massive fucking sword here, but I haven't seen it since that fire. And if that's still not enough to persuade you, it's literally on the bronze plaque on the monument commemorating the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse, which is also known as the Peter Francisco fucking Monument. Anyways, speaking of Guilford's Courthouse. All right, the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse. This is the beginning of the end of the American Revolution. What's going on at this point in time is America is just coming off of a humongous win at the Battle of Cowpens. Now, the Battle of Cowpens is a strategic masterpiece. It's my favorite battle of the American Revolution, carried out by my favorite general of the American Revolution, Daniel Morgan, who I've also done a video on, so we're not going to rehash the entire thing. The long and short of it is Mel Gibson...
And Daniel Morgan is the other guy. He was like 6'3", 6'4". He was not a small guy either. He was a giant.
Wilson's character in the movie The Patriot, one of the guys that his character is based off of is Daniel Morgan, and the final battle scene of the movie is an amalgamation of the Battle of Cowpens and the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse because they essentially play out the same way. Daniel Morgan forms his guys up against Bannister Tarleton, you know, Malfoy's dad from The Patriot, and they have this battle. And during this battle, Bannister Tarleton comes to the realization that Daniel Morgan has made a critical mistake. He has militia forming up the center of his formation, which is something you should never do because the militia are the guys that are most likely to break. They're not as well trained, they're not as well equipped, and they're more likely to turn and run. And if that happens, the entire formation fractures and the battle's pretty much over. So Bannister Tarleton has his men charge for the center of the formation, the militia fires a few volleys, then they turn and run, and the British give the order to chase them down. They're gonna squash the revolution right now, and the militia runs over, up the hill, down the hill, the British chase them, and then all of the militia guys dive onto the ground because there's a shit ton of regulars back there that open fire on the British. Daniel Morgan baited Bannister Tarleton. This leads to a humongous American victory where they kill, capture, or wound over 1,000 British soldiers. This is a humongous blow to the British military in the Carolinas, and the only force left is the guys underneath General Cornwallis, about 2,100 men. So now the strategy for America becomes drive this last remaining force of General Cornwallis's men out of the Carolinas. To do that, George Washington's right-hand guy, Nathaniel Greene, the fighting Quaker, is going to take his army and confront General Cornwallis at Guilford's Courthouse. After the Battle of Cowpens, Daniel Morgan's not going to make it because he's sick and bedridden after the battle, but he does take time to write Nathaniel Greene. I'm not going to read the entire letter, but the gist of it is, hey, here's how I won that battle at Cowpens. The play's not broke. Keep using it. Do it again. And Nathaniel Greene takes the advice. He forms up his front line made out of Green militia, instructs them to fire twice and then retreat. Then his second line is also made up primarily of militia, but this is experienced militia that's going to be able to put up a fight, make this believable. These guys wind up getting off somewhere between 10 and 20 volleys against the British, and then they retreat back into a wood line behind them. The British then chase them through a wood line, breaking up their formation as well, and then on the other end of this small wood line is Nathaniel Greene with all of his best guys on top of a hill with formations and cannons ready and waiting for him. And then as soon as the British enter the open field, William Washington, accompanied by Peter Francisco, is going to ride his cavalry into the flank and crush.
By the way, when are we going to get that video, Nick? On George Washington's cousin? When are we going to get that? I need that one. Same.
Everybody. And that's pretty much more or less exactly how it plays out. Cornwallis sees the front lines made up out of militia. They break the militia line. They charge. They run into the Virginians, exchange 10 to 20 volleys. The Virginian militia retreats back into the wood line. They follow.
I believe I see militia forming at their center.
The British come through the wood line in discombobulated formations, just as they had planned. William Washington leads his cavalry in a charge with Peter Francisco right next to him. On the first charge, Peter Francisco cuts down 2 men with his broadsword, and then a third man spears him with his bayonet through his calf, at which point Peter Francisco's like, "Ah!" And then presumably the British guy looks up and sees that there's a giant on top of this horse, and he's like, he then pulls his bayonet out of Peter's calf and turns to run. Peter wheels the horse around, chases the guy down, lifts his sword, and I will now refer to an eyewitness account as to what happened next. Lieutenant Philip Holcombe, quote, Francisco's sword hit the soldier squarely on the head with such force that his head cleft in two, a half falling to each shoulder.
Bro, you rolled a 20 on that, or you rolled a hit. You got the hit, but you failed to disengage, and he rolled a nat 20. Ooh, and he rolled. That's a crit if I've ever heard one. Oh. Worst ever. Man, yeah, I was gonna say no. That guy had a splitting headache.
The battle rages on. Peter Francisco allegedly kills a total of 11 men with his broadsword before ultimately catching a bayonet at his knee that rides all the way up to his hip bone, flinging him from his horse. Severely wounded, he stumbles into the wood line and loses consciousness leaned up against a tree. While he's out, the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse rages on. The Americans are inflicting heavy casualties against the British, but the British aren't giving any sign that they're about to give up. So eventually Nathaniel Greene decides, we've done enough damage, I'm not going to risk the rest of my army. He retreats. Now, despite the fact that the Americans inflicted a 2-to-1 casualty rate against the British, this is still technically and tactically a loss for America because they retreated.
It's understandable.
But strategically, and looking at the bigger picture, this was a humongous win for America because they crippled Cornwallis's army so bad that he had to retreat back to Yorktown, which set the stage for the siege of Yorktown, which essentially was the last major battle of the American Revolution. But that's beside the point. Cutting back to Peter Francisco, who's currently dying in the woodline, he sits there for hours going in and out of consciousness, and in the hours after the battle, he's found by Quakers that take him in and nurse him back to health for weeks. Ultimately, he winds up surviving. Apparently, bacteria's even scared of this guy, but once he's well enough, he winds up walking back home over 200 miles back to Huntington Tower, Virginia. Also worth mentioning, it's said that sometime after the battle at Guilford's Courthouse and serving under William Washington recommended or offered him an officer's commission, which he refused because he couldn't read or write. This is another one of those small details that gets called out as not being true, so it casts doubt on the entire story because people are dumb and they get confused. They hear Washington, they assume George Washington.
No. Hancock. It's Herbie Hancock.
Obviously, George Washington didn't recommend him to be an officer or he'd be an officer. It wasn't George Washington, it was William Washington, who he directly served with. However, we still don't have any primary sources to prove that that happened, but it doesn't seem that far-fetched because what we do have is that after the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse, Nathaniel Greene sent him a gift, a very decorative razor set with a different razor for every day of the week that is now on display in a museum in Greensboro. We still have that today. So
a decorative shaving set that's for shaving. So every single day he had his own razor for it. Means maintenance was a bitch. Good.
Very high-ranking people in the Revolutionary military know of him and feel
God damn, this video still not.
The notion that they would make him an officer isn't that far-fetched. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So the Quakers patch him up, and he sets off walking 200 miles back home to Virginia. So Peter Francisco's walking his happy ass back home to Virginia, and remember, this is weeks, if not months, after the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse, so a lot of the British soldiers are retreating back to Virginia, which is exactly where Peter's headed. He's by himself, he's wounded, he's got to try to not run into these guys. Everything's going fine, and then when he's in Amelia County, Virginia, he falls, he twists his knee, he's limping around. Luckily, he knows of a tavern nearby, run by a guy by the name of Ben Ward. He makes his way to the tavern, gets some food, he spends the night there, trying to let his knee rest. He is then woken up early in the morning to a sound of a bunch of horses galloping up. He looks out the window. Fuck, it's 9 British dragoons wearing green jackets, meaning that they are Bannister Tarleton's men. Remember, Bannister Tarleton, the bad guy from The Patriot, not that great of a guy. His nickname in real life was The Butcher. Peter, not really knowing what the fuck is going on and not wanting to find out, he assumes the worst. They're probably here to kill me because somebody ratted me out. So he bursts out the side door of the tavern trying to make a getaway, but there's already a dragoon there with his sword drawn, making sure nobody gets out. The dragoon tells him to stop. He stops. At this point, Peter Francisco is kind of realizing, like, okay, this guy doesn't recognize me. I'm a pretty distinct guy. Like, look for the giant. That's who we're looking for. This guy apparently isn't looking for a giant. That's good news. And then right then, all the other dragoons that are still inside the tavern start hooting and hollering because they found the booze. Okay, good. Perfect. They're not looking for me. They're just looting. They just want valuables. They want booze. They want whatever. They're not going to kill me. Just cooperate. Everything should be fine. It is at this point the dragoon in front of him says, "Hey, big man, do you have anything valuable, like a watch?" Peter Francisco reluctantly hands over his pocket watch, like, that sucks.
Get it out of here, Zach. You go rest.
I can always buy another watch. The dragoon takes the watch, then sizes Peter up again and says, "What about those silver buckles on your knees?"
All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out.
Yeah, the same P&H silver buckles that Judge Winston gave him that he had recrafted from his shoes that he had on when he showed up to America in the first place. You thought I was giving you trivial details earlier, didn't you? No, every detail matters. And now we got a problem because these buckles aren't replaceable. They're sentimental family heirlooms.
You're going to die for some chickens.
Someone is.
Peter Francisco immediately lunges at this poor dragoon, grabs his sword, takes it from him, and then hits him in the head, killing him instantly. The noise alerts the other dragoons inside, and within a matter of seconds, he sees a hand with a pistol coming out of the door next to him. He immediately chops that hand off. Okay, 2 down, 7 to go. At this point, the dragoons inside the tavern think that they're getting ambushed. One of them...
You guys got a bad day. I'm just gonna shoot the motherfucker. Oh, my hand. Oh, that's blood loss. And again, good night, Zach. You have a good one. We'll catch you next time.
Runs out the front and jumps on his horse to go back and alert the formation that he came from. Peter Francisco runs up and spears him off the horse, lifting him off the horse on his sword. By this point, he realizes the 6 remaining dragoons on the inside think they're getting ambushed, so he plays into it and he yells, "Come on, boys, they're in the tavern, let's get them." This causes the remaining dragoons to run out the back on foot, fleeing back to their formation. Not only does this buy Peter Francisco more time to get away because they're not going to make it back to their formation as fast, he now has a bunch of horses. So he lashes them all together in a straight line and takes off.
Don't really remember how many. Maybe one.
Tarleton's men never end up catching up to him. On his way home, he sells all but one of the horses, this big, white, beautiful horse that he jokingly names Tarleton. Later in life, he would write that this bar fight was the last favor he ever did to the British, and the bar fight itself...
That's a good joke.
...is commemorated by a painting that now hangs in the Virginia State Capitol in Richmond. Okay, again, just to reiterate, this man has the most gangster dad lore on the planet. Like, Dad, did you ever get into a bar fight? Let me tell you something, son. When Dad gets into a bar fight, they make an oil painting to commemorate it, and they hang it in the state capitol. So Peter Francisco makes it back home.
Whose horse are we taking? Oh no.
With his dad, Judge Winston, and he is now a whopping 21 years old. By today's standard, he's finally old enough to have a beer. Not really knowing what to do, he just kind of picks up where he left off. He starts working on the plantation, he's shoeing horses, and this goes on for a couple of months, and he's making sure he keeps up on the news with what's going on with the war, and then eventually he hears that America's getting ready to challenge the British over at Yorktown, and his buddy's gonna be there, Marquis de Lafayette.
Oh, say less.
Peter Francisco's like, say less, I'm gonna go see my homies, so he hops on Tarleton and rides off to Yorktown, has no issue getting through the front lines as he's riding up on this white horse. Holy shit, that's Peter Francisco, the Virginia Giant, makes his way up to Marquis de Lafayette, they get reunited, they start hanging out, they catch up, everything's going great. And then allegedly, around this point in time, Marquis de Lafayette asks Peter Francisco to be his personal aide.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Then, as the story goes, he was right there by Marquis de Lafayette for the entire Battle of Yorktown. Obviously, Marquis de Lafayette wasn't like up there fixing bayonets on the very, very front lines. He was a battlefield commander. He was, you know, coordinating the battle, but Peter Francisco was right there with him in case anything went down. America goes on to win the Battle of Yorktown. The British surrender. America becomes its own country. And after that, Peter Francisco's like, I don't really have shit else to do, so he just kind of hangs out with Marquis de Lafayette, being part of his entourage.
Beauty and the Beast. Oh, geez.
Shortly after the war, Marquis de Lafayette's getting ready to go back home to France, but before he does that, he's got some fancy parties to attend down in Richmond, Virginia. So Peter Francisco, best friend and bodyguard extraordinaire, accompanies him. So one day, Peter and Lafayette are walking down the street right past St. John's Church, the same St. John's Church that Peter had heard Patrick Henry say the famous line, "Give me liberty or give me death," a few years back that started this entire journey. So Peter's telling Lafayette that, like, hey, I was here when Patrick Henry said the famous line, and as he's telling this story, somebody falls down right in front of Peter Francisco. Not even thinking about it, he just lunges forward and catches this person, looks down, and it's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen in his entire life. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the whole 9 yards. They lock eyes and they are just staring at each other for an awkward amount of time, and then as the story goes, Lafayette has to tell Peter to put her down. Peter gets her on her feet, she says thank you, they part ways, they keep walking. Lafayette starts giving Peter a hard time, like, dude, when are you gonna find a wife? Women are literally throwing themselves at you. And from here, they just carry on about their day. It was just, you know, weird, something that happened.
The love at first sight, but you don't realize it's love at first sight.
Whatever, moving on. That evening, they go to a fancy officers party together, and, you know, before they get there, they're obviously the main attraction. It's Marquis de Lafayette and his bodyguard giant hero, Peter Francisco. Everybody's talking about them showing up. Everybody wants to meet him. When they get there, Peter Francisco immediately locks eyes again with this same blonde-haired, blue-eyed hottie. They get formally introduced. Her name is Susan Anderson, and she comes to the realization that the humongous hunk that saved her from falling earlier that day is also a war hero living legend. They go out to the garden together, they kiss, they basically both confess love at first sight, but Susan says that you need to talk to her father first and get his permission to call on her. Nothing wrong with that. That's completely within the realm of standard practice back in the day, especially in the aristocratic circles. So Peter Francisco goes and talks to Captain James Anderson, a military officer from an extremely wealthy family. And James Anderson, he's sympathetic, but he's not having it. He's like, ultimately, he basically says, look, Peter, I respect everything you do. Obviously, you're a man's man. That's great. But look, my daughter's used to a certain, way of living life. She's used to certain amenities. And you, as far as I can tell, are uneducated. You don't have a job. You don't own land. You don't come from money. And you're not going to be able to provide her with the same lifestyle that the other suitor that she's currently talking to, some other military officer from a fancy aristocratic family, he can give her all of that. And you can't give her any of it. And I have to do what's best for my daughter. Peter Francisco, discouraged but also not giving up, basically tells Captain Anderson, look, I'm not asking to marry her tomorrow. I'm uneducated, but I can get educated. I don't have money, but I can get money. I don't have land. I don't have all these things, but I can get these things.
Nice recovery.
Captain Anderson, obviously skeptical. They part ways. Susan runs up to Peter. She tells him she heard everything. She was eavesdropping on the conversation. She tells him that she loves him and she's gonna wait for him. The next day, Peter and Marquis de Lafayette part ways for now, and he heads back off home to Hunting Tower, Virginia.
Okay.
So Peter Francisco returns home. He's as motivated as ever. He has a very tight, very short to-do list. Get an education, get rich, get land, get laid. That's the plan. First thing on that to-do list, get an education. He's going to have to learn how to read and write.
I mean, priorities, right? Priorities, right?
And this is 1781 in Virginia. Okay, they don't have GED programs floating around. There's only one way he's gonna get this done, and it's to go back to elementary school.
Back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool.
Yes, 6'6", 280-pound Virginia giant Claymore-wielding war hero is gonna Billy Madison this shit. Luckily, his teacher, Mr. McGraw, winds up being cool as shit, and on the very first day of class, he knows how cruel and how mean little kids can be, so at the very beginning of the first day of class, he brings Peter Francisco up in front of the class and explains to the kids, like, hey, kids, this is Peter. He doesn't know how to read or write because he spent so much time in the army fighting the British, he never had time to learn, so we need to help him. Also, Peter's the strongest man in the entire army. Peter, show him how strong you are. And then he has Peter lift him up so high that his head touches the ceiling, and the kids are just blown away. Now the kids are on his side. They want to help Peter, and Peter is, in many ways, part of the gang with this group of kids. There's not much to it other than that. He goes to school for a couple of years, learns how to read and write, but there is one other story where apparently the kids would pull pranks on each other all the time, and eventually Peter Francisco decides to pull a prank of his own where he sneaks off and eats all the desserts from all the lunches by himself. Mr. McGraw knows who did it immediately because obviously there's only one person that could have physically done it. It's the 6-foot-tall giant. It wasn't one of the 8-year-olds running around elementary school. So Mr. McGraw, who's pretty good friends with Peter at this point, tells Peter in front of the class, gotta face your punishment just like everybody else. You're part of the class. And the punishment at this point in time is getting bent over a desk and whipped with a switch. To which Peter is like, come on, I'm a grown-ass man. You're not gonna whip me with a switch over the table in front of all these kids. And Mr. McGraw's like, you can take the punishment like everybody else, or you can go home. To which Peter is like, all right, whatever. And then he proceeds to get whipped with a switch just like one of the kids would in front of the whole class. Now at the same...
Which the man's been shot a couple of times. Stabbed a couple of times. The fuck, Dark? Oh, Dark, thank you for gifted members over on YouTube. I just saw the YouTube chat start moving. Oh. All right, who'd you get on this one? Thank you, Dark. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Let's see, you got Inochi, you got Chaos, you got Alistair, you got Grandpasaurus, you got Master of None, you got Hideki, you got, hey Jackal. You didn't dodge that bullet. You got almost green. You got Neo Gamer and Lord 7. And then on the 20, Jesus. Dark, seriously, you didn't have to. You got James, you got Outsider, you got Ard, you got Jess, you got Symphony, you got Novni, you got Key. Oh, nice, you got Key Fox. You got Walkman, you got Ellen, you got White Dragon, Havoc, Zerg, Astra, Roland, Baphomet, JDS, Bone, Synthetic Future, Holy Corn, Green, and Green. You didn't dodge that bullet. You got hit by that bullet. Dark, thank you for the 50 gifted members over on YouTube. Thank you. You really don't have to. You really didn't have to, but thank you for that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn off that for a moment so we can finish up this video. I'll turn it back on, but thank you for the 30 gifted, Dark.
Time while he's also going to school. Elementary school obviously doesn't take all day, so he's working on making money as soon as school gets out. And one of the first things he does is he takes all his money from serving in the military. He has a military pension coming in, and all the money that he took from selling off Tarleton's horses, and he invests it into his own blacksmith shop and general store. So he's making good money doing that. He starts acquiring land while he's still going to school, and then he accidentally stumbles into this new side gig. Whenever there was, a town event, a dance, whatever, and there was an issue or a fight, he was always the guy that broke it up. He was basically town security. He's a big teddy bear. He wants to make sure everybody's safe. He didn't mind doing it. Well, that would eventually turn into all the local tough guys.
See, thank you for the prime sub of the ads. I'm sorry, Z. Thank you for the prime sub.
Would want to see if they're the tough guy, and they would challenge Peter Francisco to a fight, and people would bet on him, and Peter would get paid for winning, and Peter never lost. And then it went from local tough guys to regional tough guys, and then it just became a normal thing in town for some big burly woodsman to stagger in, wanting to challenge Peter Francisco to prove that he was the baddest man on the planet, only to find out he in fact was not. And this goes on for the next 3 years, and then in 1784 he's finally finished school. He knows how to read, he knows how to write, he's made a bunch of money.
Welcome home from work, Dark. Welcome home.
Acres of land. He goes back to Richmond, Virginia, and he marries Susan. And for a brief moment, everything's perfect. They have their first 2 kids, and then everything goes tragically wrong. Their third child dies, and then shortly after that, his dad, Judge Winston, also passes away. And then shortly after that, his wife Susan becomes sick and also passes, and he is now a single father to 2 kids. From here, he does the best that he can. He keeps running his businesses. He keeps having dudes.
That's super rough, especially in that time period. And she probably got, to be honest, she probably got sick from the third child. And it probably messing her up because stillborns back then were like really devastating to women. That's rough.
Come into town to fight him all the time, but he never loses, and he takes the kids back to Richmond to see their grandparents pretty frequently. Over the years in Richmond, he has frequent run-ins with one of his wife's best friends, a woman by the name of Catherine Brooke, and over the years, they fall in love, and then they get married almost 10 years after the passing of his wife. They're madly in love. They wind up having 4 more kids. Peter's running his businesses. Everything's going great.
So at least he found love again. That's a good thing. That's actually also a very common thing. That was a very common thing too. Oh, holy shit. What the fuck? Dark. Dark, thanks for gifting 10 subs on Kick as well. Dark Phoenix, thanks for 10 gifted subs over on On cake. Fuck. I looked over, I'm like, what? Oh, God.
Everything is perfect. And then the War of 1812 happens. Peter and Susan's oldest son, James, enlists in the army to go off and fight for America just like his dad did. But you know what? Even though Peter Francisco is 52 years old at this point, he's not about to let his son go off and do it alone. He's joining the army too. Okay, to be honest, we have no idea in what capacity Peter Francisco served in the War of 1812, but it was confirmed by the Department of Veteran Affairs in 1940 that Peter Francisco did serve in the 5th Infantry Regiment in the United States Army in the War of 1812.
Dark, I know that's you. Dark, thank you for I get to subs over on Twitch as well. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Oh, who'd you get on that one? I didn't even. Oh my God. Nope. Nope. No packs gonna come in here and be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Thank you for 5 gates and subs over on Twitch as well.
Becomes ill and also
I know
passes away.
YouTube.
Peter is now 61
Gotcha
years
there,
old.
Jackal.
His wife has passed away. The kids are all grown up. They've moved out, and
It does.
Is completely
It does.
alone. Several years later, in 1823, he would be at some fancy aristocratic party, and he would meet another widow, a woman by the name of Mary West from England, and she had also lost her husband, and she fell in love with Peter Francisco, the Virginia giant, and they got married. Unfortunately, the third time is not the charm because as far as I can tell, she was a giant pain in the ass the entire time. This may be shocking to some of you, but apparently a fancy aristocratic woman from England doesn't really enjoy living in the back countries of Virginia with a giant blacksmith. But that's what they're doing, so they go back to the country. She's living out there in, you know, his farmhouse out in the woods in Virginia. It's not fancy like she's used to. She's bitching about it the entire time. She doesn't really care for it. And then about a
Women.
year later, in 1824, Peter Francisco gets word that Marquis de Lafayette is coming back to America.
Yes! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Okay, Peter Francisco's pumped. His homie's coming back to town from across an ocean. He hasn't seen him in like 40 years. He goes to tell his wife, and she's like, I'm not going. My dresses haven't been taken care of. Our carriage isn't nice enough. I can't be seen like this. I'm a wealthy woman. This would be embarrassing. I'm not going. And Peter Francisco's like, whatever, I'm fucking going to see Gilbert. So he heads off to meet Marquis de Lafayette. On the way, he lets his kids know, like, hey, I'm going to meet my buddy. This is basically your uncle if you guys want to come see him. All the kids come too. And he's reunited with Marquis de Lafayette. They have a big hug, at which point they catch up a little bit. And Marquis de Lafayette looks at his buddy, Peter Francisco, and says, you know, I'm like doing this tour thing. We're going from like town to town, Yorktown, Richmond. They're throwing parties for me everywhere because I'm kind of an American hero. I could use a bodyguard. For a week, Peter Francisco and Gilbert go town to town having a fucking ball. It's a great time. And then after about a week, it's finally time to go home and patch things up with the wife, Mary. Luckily, he's not coming back empty-handed. He's got good news because while he was on this week-long bender, he ran into one of his friends, a Virginia State House delegate, Charles Yancey, and Charles Yancey offered him the job as the House of Delegates Sergeant-at-Arms for the state government of Virginia. And that job comes with an apartment in the prestigious Columbia Hotel in Richmond, Virginia, the state capital.
Pack your shit up.
So Peter gets to come back home and is like, hey, everything you've hated for the past couple of years, it's all over. We're moving into a fancy apartment in a fancy hotel in the city capital, and you can live your, you know, aristocratic lifestyle, and I just have to be the sergeant at arms and kick people's asses, which is what I've been doing forever anyways. And for the next 6 years, Peter Francisco, at the age of like 63 years old, served as the sergeant at arms for the Virginia State House of Delegates. And you gotta remember, this is the 1800s. We're still well into the era of politicians getting riled up and beating the shit out of each other. And Peter Francisco...
Yeah, this is during the time where it's like, oh, there's a disagreement? Cool. Let's take it outside. Thank you for the shout out too, Hero. How are you doing, Rudy? Or how is Craig calling you earlier today? Oh my god, that was funny. Ah! Karma! Give her gifting a sub over to gifting a sub. Yeah. Yeah, it was straight. Hey, I disagreement. Okay, cool. Fight here. Shit. And here, thank you for gifting us sub over to Danny as well.
Francisco's going to be the guy in the room that's there to settle everything down. And for the next 6 years, while Peter Francisco was a sergeant at arms, everybody was awkwardly fucking civil. Okay, he might be an old man, but he also might have one left in the tank and no.
He's just. Thank you for subbing over on Kick as well.
Nobody wants to find out. In the 6 years that he was sergeant at arms, there was one occasion where the Speaker of the House had to order somebody to be removed, and that person was promptly picked up by the back of their neck and their belt line, carried out of the House, and thrown out like it was the bartender from The Simpsons. He would continue to serve as a sergeant at arms until 1831, when at 71 years old, he would fall ill and eventually pass away from what doctors now believe to have been appendicitis. And that is the story of America's Hercules, the Virginia giant, Peter Francisco. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links for both of those over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Man literally needed a life.
I couldn't figure out how to work
disease.
this into the video without breaking the whole flow. But in 1806, there was another story that Henry Clay came to visit Peter Francisco. Henry Clay is, known as the Great Negotiator. He's cousins to Cassius Marcellus Clay, the most gangster politician in history, famous, important guy. And Peter Francisco supposedly told him this story about how, people are always coming to fight him and he's always beating people up. Well, on one occasion in 1806, this one guy showed up and he wanted to fight Peter Francisco, and Peter just wasn't in the mood this day. He was getting tired of doing this all the time. So he just no, we're not fighting. We're not doing this. And the guy's adamant, no, you're going to fight me. And Peter's no, I'm not. And I think that they called him Mr. Pamphlet in the story, and he's all right, well, let me feel your weight. And Peter's whatever, dude, fine. So the dude picks up Peter Francisco. He's holy shit, you're heavy. And Peter Francisco's just over this whole situation. And he's you know what? Let me feel your weight. So the guy raises his arms and lets Peter Francisco pick him up. And Peter picks him up once, picks him up twice. And on the third time, he squats down, picks him up, and throws him over a 4-foot wall off of his property. That dude's still on the ground, trying to gather himself. And Peter just goes, are we done here? And the guy's you might as well send my horse over next. So Peter pushes this horse up against the wall. It's only a 4-foot high wall. So allegedly, he was able to push the horse up enough and over enough to topple the horse over the wall after him. And the guy's just I'm satisfied. I'm fucking leaving.
Oh god, that was America's Hercules, Peter the Giant Francisco by Fat Electrician. Holy shit, and I got more subs during that. Oh my god, that was great. That was great. Dark, thank you for the sub over on Twitch as well. Yeah, especially because it was late 1700s, early 1800s. He was Jesus. Dark, thank you for 15 gifted subs over on Twitch. Stop! I'm trying to reach out. Yeah, man, it's a fucking take. Man picked up a 350-pound cannon. What do you expect? Yeah, essentially, the man could have in theory picked up a fucking Gatling gun and been yep, I'm just going to just mow people down, and not felt the recoil with how it was acted. Jesus, please don't. Before you do anything, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I need to be right back. I'm gonna put music up. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, everyone. I have seen Commander Rudy. Alright. Alright, I'm back. But yeah, Rudy, I mean, I'm old enough. I remember Commando. I love Commando. She is badass. She is badass. That's actually kind of what the entire channel is based off of, is Academy School. It's kind of like the route I went with it. Oh, that's about right. Oh. Yeah, Misaka is an amazing character. I loved Misaka. Granted, the manga for that is done. He ended the manga. Granted, he's been like so busy and hasn't really done much, and he's like, I don't know where to go with this, so I'm just gonna end it, which works, you know. And Dark, thank you for so many, all the gifted subs and memberships. All right. That video took forever to get through, but I was pausing a lot. So, I'm not going to be able to do this one, because that's going to be too... I have to go through this one. A lot of these look like people being dumb. A lot of them look like being dumb in sports. Or just being dumb in general. Oh my god, a Walmart employee? Oh geez. Does it? Yeah, that was my song called Last Breath. That's what that one is, Rudy. You know what? Let's see. Got so many. I can't do this one. What time is it? Let's do this one just because probably gonna be safer for me for the night. All right, so the moment Gen Z, wow, Gen Z shoplifters realize they're screwed. Ooh, buy please cider. Let's check this out.
This surveillance camera footage shows two young girls shoplifting from a sporting goods store before fleeing in a stolen vehicle with 3 male suspects.
5 teenagers, and we already saw what the women looked like, what the girls looked like. This is I'm guessing Georgia. Ooh, nice, Rudy. Very nice. Very nice. Can't wait to see those.
But as officers closed in, they did not realize the situation would escalate into total chaos, one that could end in disaster if they did not act quickly.
A-firm out of the back fire exit, 2 female dogs.
They did commit a 30.
A-firm, one was wearing a red bonnet.
Once before I got it, getting on to 71. I need another car, they're running. Getting out. Over the
Immediately they're on. Oh my god. They're on. They parked right here and 3 of them just bailed. Oh no. Oh no, this is gonna be one of those, isn't it?
They ran, I'm holding the car. They went behind Roosters, running towards Red Roof. No one got out of the driver's seat.
Yeah, I got him right here. Go towards the highway there. They're running in between the buildings.
Pretty much. One ran, the other one's like a little bit slower. It's like, dude, this is one of those times where it's like, sucks to be the slower friend. It really does, because you're about to get caught. Groove City. Oh god, Groove Ohio? Oh no.
Keep going.
That's how it always goes, by the way, Rudy. What a day for you. Oh geez. Oh, this isn't just a normal stop. This is felony stop. They got guns out. This is felony stop.
Hands up, everybody. I want you to step out here in just a minute.
Okay.
Turn up, put your hands behind your back.
Do not move.
Go towards the highway there, they're running maybe.
Thank you for not running.
Go towards the highway there.
Hey, come here!
The girls were like, ah, shit, we're fucked. All right, I guess we'll take our punishment. The boys were like, we're dipping. Running's the worst thing at that moment. It really is. Is a suburb of Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Hey, come here! Red shoes running back towards Red Roof now.
All Right, this female officer's like, I'm just gonna cut through the bushes. Fuck you guys. Oh, Jesus, darkness. That sucks. I'm sorry.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! You understand me?
Yeah, this is a felony stop at this point. They don't know if you guys have weapons on them. They're gonna pull their guns. You're running the risk of getting shot. Like, the moment everyone dipped out, 3 of them dipped out of the car, it's a felony stop. You're just running the risk of getting shot for no reason other than you stole shit. Like, I'm so glad. I am so. Granted, he hasn't been pulled over, but waiting for that day. Granted, his mother, when she got pulled over, the cop being in the car and she gets pulled over and she's like freaking out. I'm like, just, you ran a stop sign. Calm down. It's fine. He's going to give you a ticket and you're going to be fine. She's like, yeah, but I'm like, stop. You'll be fine. I'll give you a good hard dicking when we get back to the house. I'm sorry, I'm bad. Stay strapped or get clapped. Yep.
Sprawl out! Don't move! Don't move!
Rat. Over.
Can you put
Yeah.
your phone down? Nope. Put it.
Nope.
Just drop it. We'll
Just
get
drop it. Put it on the ground.
Just drop it.
I did.
Okay, well you can't go reaching.
You know how I feel about my phone. I don't actually drop it or it's going to get smashed. Which one do you want? Your phone's not that fucking important. Drop the fucking phone. Furthermore, why don't you have a fucking... never mind, it's probably stolen. That was mean. No, that was mean.
Okay.
Listen, Jackal, that's... never mind. Never mind. I'm gonna shut up. God, don't let us see this cop, because that just made me lose it. Cop goes, I'm just gonna jump the foot. Nope, I'm too fat for this shit. I bet, Kirito, I bet removing viruses is never fun. It never is. Yep, exactly. There's a reason why I have a kid with her.
Police, you're under arrest! Come here now! I will release my canine! What?
Oh, this is a canine cop. Why didn't you grab the canine with you? You're a canine cop. You should be running with that puppers and be like, "Fur missile, go! I choose you."
Put your hands up now! Who went that way? Put your hands up now! Get on your knees!
Come here now! Put your hands up now! Get on the ground! On the ground now! On the ground!
You got one still going towards the highway. We got one at gunpoint.
Suspect 3 is still running. Dude, he's running towards the highway. Dude, you're running the risk of getting hit by... I see a semi there. I do see a semi. You're running the risk of getting pancaked. I know, all right? Right?
Stomach now!
Hey, he's going over the highway right now.
That cop's like, God damn it, I gotta... fuck.
I roll my stomach. Yeah, you sure can.
I'm gonna go to him.
Yeah, definitely less paperwork. 100% less paperwork for releasing if you didn't release the hound, because then you have to deal with, yeah, I released the hound, or I released the dog. Yes, this is the injury sustained by the suspect. Yes, this is why I had to release it, blah, blah. That's true. A lot less paperwork.
Cuffs. Hands on your back. Other hand too.
Crossing over the northbound lane towards the food bank.
He's crossing over the northbound lanes towards the food bank. Looks like he's trying to steal a car potentially.
You got anything on you? No. Anything on you that's gonna put me, stick me?
You can tell. You can measure. Get my phone out that car.
Dude, you are way too out of breath. And you guys pretty much did a giant circle. You guys are the dumbest criminals. You don't run back to the fucking vehicle.
One more time.
Can you make sure to get my phone out that car? I don't even live out. You gotta be in
What?
the car.
We're gonna stay
What?
down, man. What's up?
Hey, Hunter! You just want to take him?
What?
Y'all can make sure I grab my phone out that car.
I don't. Honestly, I don't give two shits about your phone. You were in a car.
Base cop. Also, I don't give two shits about your phone. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's one of those things. You're either going to jail or you're going to jail tired. It's your choice. Like if you're in a war, you don't want to run away from the gunfire because, you know, you don't want to die tired.
We found the car. You guys obviously ran out of it from there. What's going on? What are we doing?
I was riding in the car in the back seat.
You were in the back seat. You weren't in the driver's seat.
Oh, look, I gotta be in the car.
You what?
If you were just riding in the car, why'd you fucking run? Like, that's... There's a racist joke here, and I'm not going to make it. But seriously, if you were just chilling, yeah, we're just chilling in the car. Dude, why are the cops pulling us over? And then two people dip, and your initial reaction is to dip as well? No, your initial reaction should be, fuck, I'm not going anywhere. Oh, hey, hi, officer. Yeah, I'll step right out. Oh, you need hands behind my back? Cool. Yeah. Got it. Cool. Yeah, but are they... yeah, but what... Cigarette... Hey, let's be honest. It's Newports.
I don't live out. I gotta be able to call my people.
You're what? You're how old?
17.
With 4 suspects already in custody, officers turned to the last one who's still on the run. But after crossing an interstate and assaulting a woman in front of her children, it became clear that this pursuit was about to get much more dangerous.
Well, he just got more charges racked onto him. Why do they have to be? I mean, to allow that. Yeah, they really are. They really are. Not murder, but committed assault.
Where they at? Where they at? Cross 71.
Some clothes.
Is this stolen? No, this mine.
And she's... She's gonna be one of those girls that has 6 kids with 9 baby daddies.
You pregnant? Yeah. Okay.
I love the female officers. Just she sits there for a second, like, fuck. They really do. They really do. It's kind of stupid how dumb some people are. They're like, oh, it's just a game. A very dangerous game where you can get shot. Like, don't be stupid. I state that, realizing that these are criminals. And they rely on only luck, not intelligence.
Yeah, we got one detained.
Really quick, what's your name?
Honest.
Okay, and I'm gonna be.
Okay,
You've been
so we
very
have
cooperative.
the vehicle.
Don't let me down now.
10-4
Deal?
in front of Roosters.
Because
I have
you stayed in the
150
car.
with one detained.
You've been
How
cooperative.
many do you
You've
have
been
over there?
polite. Don't lie to me
Who
now.
has the two?
It really is. It really is always shits and giggles till someone gets shot or gets hit by a car. You know, it's like it's all fun games until your buddy's laying on the ground bleeding out because you're like, would this be funny? No, it wouldn't be. Listen, I was a dumb teen. I get it. You do stupid shit. You win stupid prizes, but we never did anything that would endanger our lives. Granted, that did make the Frogger one crossing. That's besides the point. Yeah, over clothes. They were at a department store with clothes. Dark, thank you for another. Jesus Christ, 25? 25 gifted subs. Yeah, that's how we learned. Again, I did a lot of stupid shit. The worst joke was we were getting ready to cross the street to go to a park, and like, yeah, I think we'd be safe. I'm like, well, it's like playing. Someone's like, yeah, it's like playing Frogger. I'm like, yeah, we'll be fine. We got 5 lives. There was 5 of us. Oh my god. Dark, thank you for 25 gifted subs. Jesus. 25 overall. You just gifted another 10, I should say. Oh, you got Runya. And Libra. Oh, and you got Kirito there too. And Rudy. In all of these. Jesus.
Stop! God damn it.
Oh, this cop's having the worst day of his life. He's like, that cop just, I made the joke and realized that that cop was literally having to play Frogger because no one wanted to fucking go, oh shit, a cop's trying to cross because he's chasing a criminal. I should slow down. Now I'm just going to keep my speed. Fuck you, officer.
How far along are you?
Not that far.
Like, do you know how many weeks? Huh? You don't?
No.
Okay, when did you?
You have an ultrasound, so they already told you it, but you're just, never mind. Never mind. I'm going to be mean. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be. She can vote. And her vote counts as the rest, as much as the rest of ours.
Find out. When?
Oh yeah, 100%. Speed up.
5 weeks?
Yes,
Did you just take a test?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your baby? She said that's her baby.
No.
Girl, what? What?
Like, not like that belonged to me.
Are we lying?
No, I got a twin.
Never mind. Never mind. I'm just, never mind. I'm not.
Are you pregnant? Why is she saying no?
Them is hers.
Then why'd you say they were yours?
They're both, oh my god. They both can vote, by the way. And their votes count as much as yours. Just remember that. What's the over under on them both having the same baby daddy? Because there was 3 boys in that vehicle, and they all were pounding both of those girls. Shit, I'm bad. I'm bad. I don't know. If this gets felony areas, they don't get to keep and bear arms, but they can. Wait, does Ohio allow you felons to vote? I don't know. But yeah, they can still have kids. That doesn't get taken away, unfortunately.
Hey, police, stop! Hey! Police! You're under arrest! Get on the ground now!
This is where a tased head would have come in. Just fucking start tasing him. Not stop. The answer is yes with a jeez. Yeah, that's the hard part. That's also true, Rudy. Ugh. Thank you for reminding me on that. I hate that.
Yep. Oh, God. Okay, we got him.
Are you pregnant, yes or no?
I said yes.
But this is not the time for games. You are 16 years old and you are in the back of a car.
You guys don't see me face palming right now, but it's sounding like none of them are, like, one's 18, the rest are under 18. 16. In here. At least I was, wait till I was an adult to have a kid. Slap on the hand. It sounds like it.
I'm not allowed to talk to y'all without a parent.
Are you pregnant, yes or no?
I'm a minor. I can't talk to y'all without.
You are, at this point, you are arrested. You're in police custody, and they have to make sure to know if you are pregnant that you are taken care of correctly.
Sit up for us, okay?
I'm losing it. I'm losing it.
Huh?
Yeah, that's true, Rudy. That is 100% true.
614.
Put your hands up in front of you.
What is you doing?
You're under fucking arrest.
Okay. Can you call my grandma? Can you call my grandma?
We'll get there.
In a desperate attempt to escape, 20-year-old Shalik punched a woman in the face and grabbed her car keys. But what he didn't expect was a 5-year-old boy chasing after him to protect his mother. And that act of bravery helped officers track him down and eventually make the arrest.
Good on that kid. Good on that kid. Like, I'd probably be yelling at my son, but I'd also be like, you don't go after those people like that. You don't do that. Good on you. Protecting mom, but don't do that again. Kid deserves a reward, 100%. Yeah, she doesn't have to talk to them. She doesn't have to confess to any crime, but for medical purposes, this is where it gets convoluted and weird, is if she is pregnant, she does need to disclose to the officers. That way, if medical is needed, they know what to do. Medical is not parental only. Medical is if you're ever arrested and you're under 18, disclosing your medical is perfectly fine, is not illegal. It actually will help save your life. Period, end story. Or if you're pregnant, saves the life of you and the child. She does not have to answer any questions, though, related to any type what she's under arrest for or anything like that, without her parents' consent or parent or guardian's consent. But medically, if they're asking for medical reasons, you do actually have to give that up because it can save your life because you're putting your life at risk. If not, if you're a female pregnant, you're putting also a baby's life at risk. So they need to know those things. That's where it gets like weird. And every state kind of gets a little bit muddy. I do know that, like where I live, if you're pregnant and you are arrested, you actually have to straight up tell officers and like so they can make sure that medically you are safe. It doesn't matter your age. You have to state that because you could go to jail for that. So you're like there's like nuances, but yeah, it is a big thing. All right, see, go get some rest.
You're taking me to jail.
Through the mug, Jesus.
It's fine, just keep your seatbelt. If you gotta puke, just do it over the side. If you gotta puke, just puke right there, man. You miss, you miss.
I was up here at the building, right there in the open area.
Guy ran so much, forgot that he didn't drink water today. He's now dry heaving.
Right there. Me and my kids were trying to walk to find out where we go to get food at, and he comes in, he shoves me, sucker punches me in my cheek.
Sir, I know stuff that's like weird. I don't bleed on doing right now. I gotta like spread out. I'm claustrophobic.
And then
Oh, you got a case of incarceratus, man. He's claustrophobic. Yeah, that's yeah for the kid, 100%. You're like, no, you don't do that. Get home. High five. Good job. That's what you do with kids like that. You're like, no, you're not. No, you don't do that. Now you don't be super mean because they're in front of cops. You're like, we're gonna have a stern talking to when we get home. You're not supposed to do that. And then you get home, you're like, good job protecting mom. I know you couldn't have done much, but you did right. Just make sure you keep yourself safe, you know.
And then all of a sudden he says, "Give me your keys." Now, and I wasn't thinking like, what? But
So he did take your keys. You found them. So he threw them in the parking lot, right?
Yes, and I found them. My kids, actually, my kids was running up after him to try to get my keys back.
You want to file charges?
Yes, I do. 1,000%.
Because officers couldn't determine who was driving, no stolen vehicle charges were filed, and one suspect even joked about it, saying, "Jesus took the wheel." But that snarky remark wouldn't save them from facing jail time. The three suspects who fled were charged with robbery, failure to comply, possession of marijuana, and obstructing official business, while the two female juveniles faced theft charges for stealing Nike Tech clothing. And in the end, the most powerful moment of this case didn't come from the intense chase, but from a 5-year-old boy who stood up to protect his mother, proving that real heroes don't always wear capes.
You chased after him real fast.
Yeah, I did. I did back.
He's such a cute kid.
Mommy's so proud of you.
As you see a young child say, "That's my mom," nuh-uh. It's pretty impressive, pretty brave.
YouTube thinks you'll love the video on screen. Click to watch now.
That was great. That was a good wholehearted ending to that. But seriously, like I don't get people. Yeah, most of those are almost all of that is misdemeanors, so they'll get off pretty easily. Not to mention the two girls were underage, so it's a misdemeanor of a juvie, so they'll get like practically nothing. Park. All right. We're getting close to it anyways. I need rest. So pull up full screen. Let's get music. All right, I'm gonna call it for the night. All right, so for Twitch, I'm going to rate off to X count. Rudy, you read my mind. We're going to rate off to X count over on Twitch. YouTube Kick, I don't... every time I try and host on Kick, it never works. And YouTube, I don't have anyone, so... but thanks everyone for swinging by. We're going to rate off to X count over on Twitch. So throughout this week, I'm going to be doing some more prep. Look out for some really cool lore drops. Think I've got it set up for this next bit. It's going to be interesting if I can get it. And then starting hopefully next week, we'll also be streaming on Rumble. So we'll be on a lot of platforms. I gotta remember how to do it on X. So as soon as I can do X and Rumble, will be five platforms. So people can catch me anywhere, pretty much. Yeah, there's a way to do it. It's a weird way. It's like you're doing like a weird host raid thing. You have to be like both subscribed to each other. It's weird. I'm not gonna worry about it, but again, thanks everyone for swinging by. Thanks for all of the subs and memberships. Thanks for all the follows. And yeah, I will catch you guys all later. I'm gonna go pass out. So later.